Hey guys, it's Rachel from Little Ring Lamb, and today I'm doing the I Am a Guilty Reader book tag. This tag was created by Read Like Wildfire, and I'm going to put her video in the down bar, so you should definitely go check that out. And if I'm looking down, I'm looking at the questions on my phone, just for reference. So question 1, have you ever regifted a book that you've been given? I actually haven't regifted a book I've been given because the people that I buy gifts for in my life, because like my family, for example, my family members, my parents still buy from the family to the family members, but for my friends and stuff that I see and I buy gifts for, they're not, like my best friend's the only reader, but she has been reading lately, so yeah, and like people, like my friends usually don't give me books for my birthday, or if they do, I wouldn't re-gift them back because everybody would know who I gave them to because I have like a close friend circle. So I haven't regifted a book. I generally keep them and read them, and if I don't like them, I donate them then. But typically the books my friends pick out for me, they know my reading taste and they know like a lot about me, so they know like what kind of things I like. So every book that I've been given by a friend I've really enjoyed. It's been like a favorite book of mine. So yeah, haven't really had a reason to regift them, and also everybody would know that I regifted it, so be kind of shady. 2, have you ever said you've read a book when you haven't? Yes, I told my cousin I read The Lost World by Michael Crane. I read half of it, so it wasn't a complete lie, years ago. And then I was telling him I was rereading it, but I was reading it fully for the first time. That's the only book that I can think of. And like school. Like The Secret Garden is my least favorite book ever. I absolutely hate that book so much. I have so much hate for it. And I know it's a classic, and I know I'm supposed to like it because it's a classic, but I cannot bring myself to it. I had to read that for grade 8. I think it was more so that I was offended that I was put in the like lower reading group, because like my reading comprehension is where I struggle sometimes when there's a book I don't like, but I was offended, which did not make the reading sphere. That's the only book that I've read like out of my whole university career and my high school career and my elementary school career. The Secret Garden is the only book that I have spark noted. That tells you something. And also if you like that book, like it's just my opinion, just yeah. 3, have you ever borrowed a book? Wait, 3? Yeah, we're on 3. Have you ever borrowed a book and not returned it? No, because I wouldn't want that to happen to me. My library, that's one of the reasons I don't go to the library though anymore, because it kept finding me for books I never took out. And then they'd find the books and then they'd still find me. And like I went and talked to them about it and they said like, we can't do anything, you had to pay it. So did I pay it? Nope. And did I start my own library? Yes. But yeah, I've been accused of not returning books from the library, but those books were not even books I would have been reading, which I tried to tell them, but they didn't use that as defense. But I was like, I would never have taken this out. It's not even like something, it's like middle grade and I was reading like YA. Yeah, so I've always returned books, especially to my friends and stuff like that, because I'd want them to do the same to my book collection. So I'm not guilty of that. Have you ever read a series out of order? Yes. I probably read the Princess Diaries series out of order originally when I read it, not the last time I read it, because I made sure to go like in order. And I actually started reading the second Pretty Little Liars book in the series before I realized that there was a book before it. So yes, I have. Have you ever, yeah, sorry, I keep getting confused with the questions. Have you ever spoiled a book for someone? Not purposefully. Or no, not accidentally. It's always been purposefully. The only person I spoil books to is family members and friends that I know aren't going to read the book, and I really just need to talk about it, especially before I started BookTube, because not many people are readers in my life, so I just ask them, like, for example, my best friend, like, I still ask her, and she still does read, but, like, not as much as she does. Like, she reads maybe, like, 3 books a year or something like that. Maybe 5. But and she used to read a bit more than that. Like, she probably used to read around 20 books a year at least, the minimum. So yeah, so basically I'll be like, oh, are you gonna ever read this? And she'll be like, no. And I'll be like, can I please talk about it, because I need to vent about it, because nobody's commenting on my video and I just need somebody to talk to about it, or something like that. Like, so it's always been purposeful, but I don't think on this channel I've ever spoiled something, because I always give fair warning, because I don't like to be in that position, because I have been spoiled in other videos, and I know the person isn't doing it to be venomous, but it still hurts. Have you ever dog-eared a book? No. I used to actually not use bookmarks. I used to memorize the page number, and I'd be like, oh, I'm on page 221, and I would remember it. And if I didn't remember, I'd just flick through it, like, before it, like if I cut into my last place and just flick through till I found my place. That or a bookmark. I've never dog-eared the pages because I just don't like that. Then the pages gets all creased, and then when you, yeah, then when it's sitting on the desk, like, I don't like the aesthetic of it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't do that to my own books. Like, if you do that, that's completely fine. I just tab my books if not, like, with the sticky tabs on the outside. I don't know. I just can't. physically do that. Have you ever told someone you don't own a book when you do? No, I've been pretty straightforward actually. If I own something, I own something. Am I a little bit ashamed for certain books that I own? Of course. Like, I'm not, like, I feel like a lot of people do have some shame, like, with certain books they own. For example, like the Twilight series, which has been mentioned in so many of these videos I've watched, but, like, a lot of people have shame of that. But, like, I don't have shame really over that. Like, do I really want them on my shelves? Not really. That's why they're being unhauled. But, like, I don't really have shame for that either. Like, there's no books I think that I have told anybody that I don't own that I own. Like, I have a lot of books that people would consider horrible books. Like, celebrity biographies. Like, people think those are trash, and I tell people I read them. I bring them with me. Like, certain books at school, I would say, I don't get asked if I own a book, but certain books at school, I guess, that's kind of non sequitur, but, like, I won't bring certain books to school with certain covers because I just don't want people asking questions, especially the cover or, title is a little bit, like, for example, Anne and the French Kiss, great book, but I don't want to bring that in public because people will just perceive that it's, like, it is a fluffy book, but it's more than that. I feel like it's a really well told story, and people will not get that across, so that's maybe the only time, but that is a non sequitur, so... Long story short, no. So have you ever told someone you haven't read a book when you have? No. I'm pretty honest with what I read. I want everybody to know kind of what I read. That's why I do Bad Back to Me. No kidding. That's like my diary kind of. Lets me know what's kind of going on usually if there's big milestones and what I'm kind of reading. But I usually let people know what I'm reading. Like, I don't really have shame in that. Like, usually I'm reading, so it's like, that's good enough. If somebody's going to have like a problem with what I'm reading, then why would I waste my time talking to them? Yeah, because, like, I read books that people probably assume are, like, trashy, like, celebrity biographies. Like, but I want to read it, and you know what? At least I'm reading. That's what I always say. Like, if somebody's going to be rude because I've told someone, like, I'm not going to object, like, redact the book that I'm reading and say, like, I'm reading something. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm reading, like, Anne and the French Kiss. Let's just use that again. I'm not reading Anne and the French Kiss, I'm reading, like, Proust. No, like, I wouldn't lie about that, because at the end of the day, a lot of the people that are asking me about what I'm reading don't read themselves, and they don't even know the book industry that much, so they probably wouldn't know what I was talking about anyway, even if it was, like, a cheesy YA contemporary, which no shame about, because I love reading those. So I hope that answered the question properly. Have you ever skipped a chapter or a section of a book? No. The Secret Garden. I had to pummel myself and actually hurt myself and hit myself in the arm. Still wouldn't read it. I was very stubborn. That's the only book that I skipped. Like, because I don't skim, because I don't like to skim because I feel guilty. Which is guilty, like, the opposite way. Like, people feel guilty for skimming. I feel guilty for even thinking of it. Like, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, I didn't really like the Simon Snow parts at all, because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I haven't read it. I don't watch the films. Well, I've watched, like, a few, but I wasn't paying attention because they were putting it on in school, and it's just not my thing. Everybody can have their thing. I'm not hating on it. It's just not for me. Basically, like, the Simon Snow and the Fangirl was kind of reminiscent of that, so I want to get back to the main story. I didn't really appreciate it as much as other people did, but I didn't skim it still. Like, I'm very strict about that, because it's like, I don't want to skip that or a chapter, because it's like, then I haven't really read it, you know? And the last question, have you ever badmouthed a book you actually like? I don't think I've badmouthed a book I like. Like, there's a difference between badmouthing and being critical. I've definitely been critical towards books I like. Am I not super critical about books I like? Obviously, because I have my blinders on, but yeah, I've never been like, oh, that Pretty Little Liars series, it's too long. Like, I defend that series to the death, but I could also see for example, I can also see the flaws in the series, but I defend it to the death. And you know what? I've never badmouthed a book that I love being like, oh, that's like trash, like that. But I've definitely criticized, and in a proper way, where it's like constructive criticism, kind of, not that I'm talking to the author, but like constructive criticism, that kind of talk. But I've never badmouthed a book where I've been like, oh, that's horrible. Because I wouldn't lie about that, because I feel like that's kind of mean. Then I'd feel like really shady about reading the book, because I'd be like, well, I just badmouthed this book. What's it gonna think of me? Could you imagine, like, the books you read, like, after you read them, they came to life, and then they were like, told you kind of what they think of you, because they see you like doing all sorts of things, like if the book drops in your face, if you spill stuff all over you, if you're like talking to yourself, you know, it'd be pretty interesting but kind of scary. And I don't know where that's going, but that's where mine's been going today. Just going in really weird sequiturs. And yes, I want to thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to tag anybody specifically because I don't know who's done this tag, and yeah, so if you're watching this video and you want to participate, definitely do so. And if you already have, and I probably haven't seen a lot of these videos because I'm so behind my YouTube feed, like a week behind, but tag me down the down bar and I will check out your videos because I really like seeing what people are saying. I don't think I'm too guilty of a lot of things, which is not a really surprise for me because I'm typically staying on the safe side of life. Like literally, definition of goody two shoes.